Hey everybody, and welcome back. Well, this summer I went down to Costa Rica and adventured to volcanoes and relaxed on the beach, as you can see. And I hope you had a fun summer too, and I want to hear all about it. But for now, I'm excited to head back to class, aren't you? But since I flew down here, I think I'm going to take another way back. Well, come on, let's go. Whoa! Whew. Made it, and we're back. For those who are wondering why I look like this, the reason is because it's cool and I can. So, for those who don't know, I'm Mr. Potter and I'm going to be your music teacher this year. And for those that do know me, it is so good to see you again. We're going to talk about all the fun stuff we're going to do this year and how we're going to do it. But first, let me tell you a little bit about who I am, and then later, I want to hear more about you.
This is my wife. Isn't she pretty? I sure think so. And we got to go on vacation this year, and we had a whole lot of fun. We drove all over Costa Rica and got to see all sorts of cool things. Look how pretty the countryside is. This is Arenal, an active volcano. See the smoke coming out of the top of it? We got to ride four-wheelers. It was muddy. We had a really fun vacation. I hope that you had a good summer too. We also found out that we're going to have a baby, and we are really excited. And we passed our church here in town called Nexus Community Church. And I'm teaching at two different schools, East Elementary and Coggin, and I love them both.
So that's a little bit more about me, and this year I want to learn more about you too, even though I'm going to have well over 500 students, which is a lot. And trying to do that will make my head feel like this. But that's okay, because you're worth it. So tell you what, let's look at some of the fun and exciting things we're going to do this year, and then afterwards we're going to talk about how we'll do that. All right, here we go. Wow, doesn't that look fun? I think it does, and I don't want to miss out on any of that. So let's talk about how we can make sure we get to every single one of those things and more. But first and foremost, my most important job this year is to make this a safe place to learn. And it's your job to help me. So anything you can do for you or your neighbor that will make it more safe or help you learn more, that's what you need to do. And I love music. I absolutely love it. And my goal is that you would feel the same way too. And part of the way to do that is to experience it in all those awesome and fun ways. But to be able to do all of those and make sure we don't miss out on any, we need to follow a few rules and a few procedures. They're not hard, but let's talk about them so that we can have the best music class ever. Here at Coggin, we have a simple Coggin philosophy that goes for everywhere you are in school. And there's just three simple parts to it. Respect yourself, respect each other, and respect our property. That's it. That's easy enough to remember, isn't it? And you know what? Later we're going to talk about what respect actually means so that we'll know how to do all three of those things. Okay, so there are two big things that we're going to work on and practice this year to make sure that this is the best music class ever. You want to know what those two things are? Well, the first one is how we come to and how we leave music class, okay? So when we come to music class, we're going to be loud and crazy and running and jumping and No, obviously that's not how we're going to do it. How are we going to do it? We're going to be calm and orderly and respectful, just like we are everywhere else. See, we have to leave the main building to come out to the music building. And lines outside are exactly like lines inside. Because a lot of kids, when they get outside of the doors, they think they can run and jump and yell. But no, the lines outside are just like the lines inside. And when you come into the classroom, you come in and you sit quietly in your seats. And we'll talk about where those are going to be later, okay? And when we line up to leave, it's the same thing. We run, push, yell. No. We line up quietly and orderly and where we're supposed to. And we'll talk about where that is later. But one important thing is to look for one of those. And I'll tell you about that here in a minute. Remind me. The second big thing that we're going to work on is going from being quiet to being loud to being quiet again. That is the hardest part about music class. And if we can get that down, everything else is going to be a piece of cake. Okay? Because sometimes we're sitting and we're talking and we're listening to what's going on, and then we'll get up and we'll sing and dance or whatever we do, and then we've got to go back to being quiet and listening to what's coming up next. And that's really hard to do, but don't worry, we'll practice it. So if we can get those two things going, coming and going to class orderly, remembering the inside and outside are the same in the way that we act, and we can go from being quiet to loud to quiet, then we are going to have the best year in music ever. This year we'll also get to play instruments in music class, and towards the end of the year we even get to learn how to play the guitar. So let's talk a little bit about how instruments will work. Instruments can be some of the most fun that we have in music class, but to play them is a privilege, not a right. Which means that if you can't act and behave the correct way, then we won't get to play them. But the better you act, the more respect you have for those instruments and each other, the more we get to play them. Because if you don't, they can get broken, you can hurt each other, or it can just get so loud in here that we can't do anything. And then nobody's safe and nobody's learning. But the better we act with them, the more we can do with those sorts of things, the more sort of out of the seat, doing new stuff, bringing in more things we can do here in class. And I hope we get to do a lot of that. Well, let's talk about what happens in music if you're not doing the right thing, which I hope we never have to worry about. But if we do, if you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing, I'll warn you, and then I'll put a mark on my list by your name. If you get more than 2 marks on your third strike, if you will, we'll have to talk with your teacher. And if we do that, she may have to write something up in your folders. And I believe your teachers have already talked to you about that. So what happens in music affects what happens in your regular class also. So if you get in trouble in music, it'll go in the same folder in your regular class. So tell you what, why don't we just do all the things we're supposed to, and we won't have to worry about that one bit. How about that? Now, one last thing. This is what our classroom is supposed to look like when we leave. See how all the chairs are neat and straight and in their rows and in their orders and not crazy and pushed and shoved around? Okay? These chairs slide on this floor really easily. So when you get up to line up, it's your job to make sure that your chair is where it was when you started. Make sure it's in line with your row and then it's not getting in the way of your neighbors. So if each of us looks after our own chair and our own row, then all of them be straight, and that's all. So it's really easy, but it's a big thing if I come in and I have 50 chairs that I have to straighten up. It's a lot easier if you just straighten up one. So thanks. Well, I'm sure there's more that we're going to talk about today, but that gives us a good start as to what music class is going to look like this year. And I don't know about you, but I am so excited, and I know that this year is going to be the best year ever in music, and I can't wait to spend it with you. So anything that you can do to help it be more safe, they apply anywhere you go. You probably do things on the computer, and at the end, you're gonna bit.